Hi. It has been a minute, but hi, my name's Colleen. Welcome if you're new here. This is a channel where I talk about things that I like and also things that I make. And today I'm going to talk about a thing that I made as part of a larger project that I am making. So welcome and happy Samhain. So I am I'm starting a project that is, backing up a little bit. I have for quite a few years been saying that I would like to spend more time learning about and embracing the Celtic festivals and the sort of cultural, spiritual history of my people. And as a way of sort of engaging with my own spirituality and my family's history, and finding some spiritual strength outside of Christianity is something that I've been saying that I wanted to do for a while, and also then not doing very much. And I have all of the festivals in my calendar. They alert me every time they're here, and I do sort of like some cursory thinking about it, but I've not really dug deep. And so this year I have decided to dig deep. And part of my way of digging deep is that I've decided I'm going to write a poem in response to each of the festivals. And then by the end of the year, I will have a collection that, who knows what I'll do with it after that, but that's my current plan. And I had this idea just right in time for the first one, which was great, which is Samhain, which is the festival at that is celebrated the evening of October 31st into November 1st, because the Celtic holidays start at sundown, sort of similar to Jewish holidays. It's the similar convention. So Samhain is November 1st, and so it begins celebration on October 31st. And usually people think was celebrated for about 3 days and 3 nights. But also Samhain is, while being the name of the festival, also the name of the month of November. So my plan is to spend the couple of weeks, saying month is maybe generous, so the couple of weeks leading up to the festival, researching the festival, and then on and around the festival, writing a poem in response to it. So I've started with Samhain, which just so happens to be also, even though it is a cycle, often where the cycle starts, insofar as our modern understanding. So I spent some time researching Samhain. I spent a lot of October researching Samhain, and then I wrote a poem. And so I'd like to share with you my research and then share with you my poem. Please excuse me, I will be looking at my notes. So Samhain is one of the quarterly fire festivals. Generally for this program, for this project, what I'm going to be doing is focusing on the 4 fire festivals and then also the equinoxes and solstices, which it seems as though the Celts did celebrate. It just maybe were celebrated less. They were more minor festivals, or we don't have as much evidence for those festival days. I'm going to be highlighting the four big fire festivals, and then also noting the solstices and the equinoxes as well. So Samhain is the festival that starts the dark half of the year. So the year is also split into the light half and the dark half. So Samhain marks the harvest, the end of harvest, and the turn towards the darkness of the year, which makes perfect sense in that it is halfway between the autumnal equinox and the winter solstice. And so it is the marcation of the dark half of the year. It is there are lots of different ways that people celebrated Samhain, and probably if you know about Samhain, you know about it because it is a precursor to modern Halloween, and a lot of the Halloween traditions actually come from Samhain traditions, and so it is a day. It is one of those days, as so many pagan days were, that were subsumed into Christianity and then named something else. So it has a lot of the same markers as Halloween, which is of course All Hallows Eve, and Day of the Dead, and All Saints Day. So it is the day to honor the end of the harvest and honor the dead. It is the day where all of the hearth fires, all of the fires inside of homes would be extinguished, and then the village would come together, light a big bonfire. That would be there would be cattle sacrifices and this big bonfire to honor the dead, and then the villagers would take the fire from the bonfire back to their own hearth and relight their home hearth. Was a major tradition. This was also a time of year where, in relationship to honoring the dead, it was believed that the divide between the other world and the human world became more porous, broke down, became thinner. And so this would allow spirits to pass through from the other world to the waking world, would allow ancestors to come through and pass through. And so the tradition of dressing up, going from house to house, was what was called mumming and guising, what has now been transformed into trick-or-treating, was this transition of was the tradition of dressing up so as to not be recognized and not be taken by any sort of like puckish spirits, not be kidnapped, and not being harmed by any spirits that were able to make their way from the other worlds to the waking world during this time, as well as going house to house and singing and honoring the dead, which is again what had been transfigured into trick-or-treating. It was a festival of so it was a day of feasting, and a day of, they are Irish, so lots of drinking, and part of the feast was inviting ancestors in to feast with you. You would set a place for the ancestors. You would offer them food for them to eat at your festival, or at your feast, and you would leave all of the doors and the windows open and leave food out overnight to welcome in your ancestors. Just making sure I have gotten everything I wanted to get. Yeah. That's what Samhain is. I celebrated Samhain not as well as I would have liked to, because I was inside of a tech week, and it was a challenging tech week, but I did make some food, just take some food out of my own food, and leave it as an offering to my ancestors, and spent the day really honoring my ancestors. And so here is the poem that I wrote in response to Samhain. It is titled Samhain. That's going to be the convention. I hope that you can understand. Samhain. I lay a feast at the altar of my grief, just hoping you'll knock on the door to eat it. I've harvested so much. I lay a log on the fire that burns in my hearth, and it erupts, like a bonfire, not a forest fire. I have no control. I lie to myself all the time. They say the veil is thin this time of year. I wonder if that's why I can feel you so close, just beneath the skin, my blood your ghost. I could cook you a feast and lay it at your altar, but I know you'd prefer the breakfast special at Denny's, and honestly, breakfast food isn't my specialty. But I'll meet you there at opening time tomorrow, when the veil is thin, and we can go for a walk along the beach and look out at the vast and infinite beyond that I don't know anything about, and not talk, because there's nothing to say that the food won't say for me. So that is my Samhain poem. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you follow along as I connect more to my Celtic ancestry and my own spiritual journey throughout this calendar cycle, festival cycle. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.